All right, today's video is going to be how you can make your habits work for you instead of against you. Habits in general are, they've evolved through energy conservation. So if you're living in the wild, you know, your habits are there to try and get you through your life, you know, to stop you from being killed, to conserve your energy as much as possible so that you can run away from the big animals when they're trying to eat you. So would there be any such thing as a bad habit if you were living in the wild? You know, I think modern day society has hijacked a lot of those needs, a lot of those underlying capacities of ours, the strengths of ours, in order to turn them into weaknesses and to take advantage of them. You know, taking advantage of the instant gratification mentality that we have in the modern world. You know, credit cards is a great one of those, where you take the money now, take the shit now, take all the stuff that you can now and pay later, and usually at a higher cost than you would have otherwise paid, right? So just think about when you've got a bad habit, that's exactly the same way that you're living your life, that you've got the instant gratification mentality. You're taking what you can now, taking your buzz now, and you're paying for all the shit later on. Normally in this sense, in the terms of your life and how your life is going to turn out, and in the wasted opportunities that you've got. I wasted my youth on this shit way of living, and this shit way of thinking. But there's so many things that you can habitualize from a negative perspective or from a positive perspective. Some of the things that pop into my mind are maybe exercise, diet, relationships, maybe even things like your posture. You know, a lot of physical stuff that you do is down to habits. A lot of the way you talk, a lot of the way you think, and you can get rid of habits that aren't helping you. You know, it'll take a while to get rid of them. It takes a lot of energy putting in to get rid of, to eliminate those habits, but you can do it. What we can do is we can systematically break down the bad habits, the ones that are detrimental to our lives and to our goals in life, and to build up systematically the good habits that are going to help you. So it's a deliberate process, and it starts off with an understanding about yourself, about what habits that you actually want in life, which ones that you actually need in life. And it starts off with that idea, that conceptualization of deciding what to habitualize and what not to habitualize. And some of the ways of thinking, some of the ways of behaving are going to benefit you in the short term. Like we said, the instant gratification mentality, you get a benefit because you're getting a buzz, you're getting a little happy lift or whatever it gives you. But that doesn't last long. It doesn't last long in terms of the buzz that you get from alcohol, for instance, right? You get a much better buzz when you're in the beginning of your alcohol drinking, towards the end of it, because it becomes habitualized. It just becomes a part of your life. It becomes a part of how you have to drink in order to feel normal, to behave normal, because normal to you has become sort of perverted in that sense. It's become shifted and twisted. So all of these long-term things then, as we said earlier, the long-term negative aspects of any habit are going to play out into the long term more than anything else. So you have to be willing to adapt to what you think is going to turn out. You're going to have to be willing to adapt to the state of mind that you're going to be in when you stop in the short term, because the long term you're going to be in a much better place, and you're going to have to be able to think in terms of change according to what you need in order to move up to that next level. You know, this is not going to happen overnight. You know, you can think about, like I said, you can have a goal in your mind about where you want to go. That's the destination, but you're not going to get to that overnight. That takes a long time, but you can change the direction that you're going overnight. So you can't get to the destination, but you can change your direction. And that's what we're trying to do here, is to change your direction so that you're heading in the right place. That takes a lot of focus in life. It takes a lot of changing your perspective and looking at things from a different way. Habitsv2.com is our platform up here. That's my focus. You know, if you want help, as I said before, I can't help you to stop drinking alcohol. That's not something that I can physically do. You know, there's only one way that you're going to have anyone stopping you physically, stopping drinking alcohol, and that's to get them to lock you up into a room and, you know, not allow you to have any alcohol. That's basically how some of the recovery clinics work. You know, you're put into an environment where there's no alcohol and they basically force you to stop drinking alcohol. You put yourself into a situation where you're forced, but then you have to come back out into the real world, and that's where the shit hits the fan for the most part. But the stopping drinking alcohol, as far as I'm concerned, is the simple part. What I can do is I can help you to cope. I can help you to cope, to be without alcohol, to be without, to get used to being without alcohol, to leave the behavior behind you, to leave the thinking behind you, and eventually to get to the same state of mind that I'm in now, where you're just thriving in life. You're, the old alcohol way of thinking is just gone. It's not a part of who you are anymore. It's just you're moving on. You've got a new reality. You believe in new things. You've got a new self. You've got a new life. You've got new goals that you're heading towards. You know, when I stopped drinking alcohol, I didn't have any goals as such, because the goals that I had were all surrounded by this bullshit that I was going to. So the V today stands for Viewpoint. So how you look at the world, you know, what you focus on, what is your perception. And what I teach is based on my viewpoint. It's always going to be based on my viewpoint, because that's the only thing that I can show you, right? How I view my life, what I focus on. I can tell you things that you are in control of your life. You know, you're always going to pull your own strings. You always have pulled your own strings. It's just that you were pulling the strings in the wrong direction. Almost anything is possible in life, given the right circumstances, the right direction, the right viewpoint, and the right motivation in life, right? You know, most things you do, you know, they're going to be pretty average. Most things that most people do in life are pretty average. That's just the nature of life. You've got to get through these things. You've got to, in order to get to that goal at the end, you've got to put yourself through an awful load of shit. You know, you've got to cross a lot of different stepping stones, and some of those stepping stones are slippy and you're going to fall off, and some of them are not, and you're going to get through it. But some of those things that you do, a few of them, are going to be things that are going to lead you to an exceptional life. And that's the focus part. Without that focus, without that determination to get to a certain point in your life and to say, well, that's really where I want to go. That's really the place that I want to be. That's where I want to see myself. And sometimes it might take you a while to get to that stage. It's not something that happens overnight. It's certainly not something that happened to me overnight. But once you get to that certain focal point, then your overall energy levels don't go up, but your concentration of energy, how you focus your energy, the way that you're creating your own talent in your own self, the way you're building your own skills, that real deep understanding of yourself, that search for and that finding deep knowledge in yourself, only that will come about once you focus your mind on something, and once you have a long-term goal. Well, this is where I want to go. Like I said, you can't get to that destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. And it doesn't mean to say once you head in one direction. That's the beauty of habits. That's the beauty of a free life, is that you can decide, well, that's not for me. This is not where I want to go. I want to go somewhere different, and you can change your mind. And usually it's in a similar place, so it's usually on the same road, but you just have to adjust a little bit and move in a slightly different direction. That's normally what happens. I mean, we don't normally get to a place where we go, oh God, I'm going in the wrong direction altogether, you know. That's where the drinking was. And, you know, there was one symptom of that, and that was, let's hide from this. You know, let's hide from all the emotions and the feelings and all the thoughts that are coming about because of what I'm doing to myself. And yeah, going back to where it is. So you get to a state where you're well-rounded in your life. You've got well-rounded knowledge. I think there's only one real way of getting to that knowledge and getting to that person that you want to be, and that is through focus. So that's the V today. That's, like I said, my viewpoint. My focus has always been and is going to be for the foreseeable future studying habits, and I do that day after day after day. I do it all day long. Everything I read or I study is aimed at furthering and developing that particular viewpoint. And this is not my job. It's not my career. It's not anything. It's not my calling. I don't like that word, but it's just what I do. It's what I love to do. Has become my life for the foreseeable future anyway. It's what gets me up in the morning. It's something that sometimes keeps me awake at night, but it's not like the old keeping awake at night with the booze, where I had this sense of foreboding and woke up thinking my heart was going to pop out of my chest, and I knew that the next day was going to be crap and just spent in hell. It wasn't like that. When I wake up during the night and I have a sense of anticipation, and I have a sense of the opportunities that are now available to me, the opportunities that I can now take, and the potential that's there. So there is going to be no retiring for me. I've got no intentions of doing that. This is what I focus on during my waking hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, Christmas days, birthdays, holidays, when I'm on my vacations. This is what I focus on. It's what I'm thinking about, and I love what I do. What I love most about my life is that I love learning about my life. I love the fact that I can learn something new and I can adapt it and see if that works for myself. See if there's a bit of more understanding that I can come about with. I love trying to be as real as possible. I love being as honest as possible, and I think one of the biggest things for me is passing that on to the next generation. I've got a granddaughter in Ireland, my son in Ireland, or anybody that comes in contact with me, passing that knowledge on to that next generation. But I think it's way better than money or things, houses and boats or whatever, cars and stuff like that. Most generational wealth in terms of money and houses and cars and all that shit is gone within 2 generations. So it doesn't matter if it's £1 billion, it's gone within 2 generations. How long does, if you pass on generational values, how long does that last? That's something that you can pass down generation after generation after generation. And that's really starting out with the right viewpoint and working on it, adjusting it, evolving with it. That's my idea of a life that's worth living and a life that is well lived. And and I think back to my own life, and I think I used to spend so much of my time trying to get out of my head. What a fucking idiot. I always have a mixture of regret that I didn't do this sooner, and at the same time, it's not really a mixture. I have an underlying thing of regret about myself, about my past life, and why didn't I do this sooner? But I know that that's just it's a fiction. I can't go back and change anything. Mostly, I have a huge gratitude, and that I was able to take the decision that I did when I did. So listen, that's it from me for today. Habits V2 is up here. That's our platform. If you want any help at all, go over there and visit that page. It's www.habitsv2.com, and the blog is just add a slash and blog at the end of it, and you'll go to the blog. We've got a lot of posts there about all different stuff that we're not posting here on YouTube. So take care of yourself. Have a great day. Keep the alcohol out of your mouth. Onwards and upwards. Bye now.